Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well, enjoying your summer, and are ready for a great fall 2020 semester. My name is Bryan. I work on our training and support team. Thank you all for being in attendance today for our assignment builder, creating custom tests, quizzes, and more webinar. I hope you find this useful to help you guys create your assignments within our WebTests tool and all of its capabilities. We do have a question and answer option within Zoom. And towards the end of our webinar today, I will be answering some questions towards the end right here. So just let me know if anything comes up, if you have any questions, and I will be happy to get started. So let's jump right in. To access the web test, you're going to want to go to the assignments tab right here and click on web tests. Once you click on web tests, you'll be brought to this page here. If you've already created some web tests in the past, they will all show up on your My Web Test here. If you're looking to create a new web test, which we are going to do today, you're just going to want to click on the Create New button. Once you click on Create New, our assignment builder tool is going to open up in a new tab at the top of your screen. On the left-hand side, you're going to have your question bank where you can pick and choose the questions you want for this assignment. And on the right-hand side, this is where we're going to see our questions that we chose for this assignment that we're creating. So for today, I'm going to choose from our default curriculum over here. Yeah, so I think from here, we're going to choose our default curriculum. Once we're in our default curriculum, you click on a certain chapter where you want to start pulling questions from. If you click in here, I'm going to click on chapter 1. We're going to create a chapter 1 quiz today. Once in here, I'm going to click on the lessons that I want questions coming from. And we're going to say for today's purposes, we're going to want 15 questions coming from these 3 lessons that I chose. Once you click add, the courseware is going to pull questions directly from these 3 lessons. So we can see that we have a breakdown of questions coming from lesson 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3a. You can scroll through here. Definitely recommend you guys and all instructors reviewing the questions that the courseware pulls. And if you want to, you can actually click into a lesson name here, and you can see that specific question bank for any given lesson. So if I want to come in here and hand pick the questions I want my students to see on their assignment, I'll click into here. I'll scroll through and find another question I want to add in. So I'm going to add in this question right here. You click the add button, we're going to see that this question is in use one time. If you want to add it in again, you are certainly more than welcome to. All of our questions have a wide variety of iterations. So this just means that your students are going to see this objective, so this question type, twice now. On the right-hand side of the screen, we can say that we created our chapter 1 quiz, and I just want to go through a couple other nice features in here. If you come down, if you ever needed to, you could use this actions column. You could select all the questions if you wanted to. You could collapse them all just so you can see the objectives. This is just a really nice way to kind of get an overview of your assignment that you've just created. You can always, if you wanted the questions to go in a specific order as well, you can click this lock order button. So now every one of my students would see this one as question 1, this one as question 2, and kind of so on here. If you wanted to lock the specific value for any of these questions, you can also do that by clicking this lock value button. So now every single student of mine would see this exact question here. Once you have your web test set up, you can begin saving it and begin assigning it to your students. So the first thing you'd want to do is click this Save As button. Once you click Save As, you're going to first want to name it. So I'm just going to name this Chapter 1 Quiz. Now this is going to be saved, and we can begin reviewing it as well. Before we actually assign this, I want to let you all know that you all have the ability to export this web test, any web test you create, to a Word document. So if you want to export to a Word document. You can hand it out to your students as a paper and pencil assignment. I know I work with some instructors, they create a lot of practice assignments here as well. To do that, you go to this export to docs button. You first leave it as what you named it. And I always recommend to export the question and answer key here. Once you click OK, we'll see that it's downloaded down in the bottom right. And it's actually popping up on another screen of mine. So I'm going to drag it over. And we can see that now we have our web test that we just created in Word. The nice thing about it is when you put it into Word as well, and you're getting ready to print it off for your students to complete it as a paper and pencil assignment, you can come in here and edit it. So if you want to give your students more space, if you want to take out any of the wording, you can, and then you can just save it to your computer, print it off, and share it with your students. Then the answer key for this assignment is going to be all the way down at the bottom, and you can see that is displayed nicely right here, so you can easily check your students' answers and keep going on with that. Back in the the assignment builder tool, if you want to begin assigning this chapter 1 quiz to your students, you can simply click the assign button at the top of the screen. Once in here, another browser is going to open up, and we're going to have a few settings that I definitely recommend everyone checking out. So the first one is our general settings. In general settings, this is where you can first identify the start and end date for students to take this web test. You can put in a start and end time as well. If you want to, you can password protect any of your web tests. You can change the length of time students have to complete this assignment. You can give students any number amount of attempts you would like to as well. So if you do change it to more than 1, up in 3, for example, then you have some options for a grading method. You can choose a last score, the average score, the best score, or even the first score. Lastly, you can choose to keep it recorded in the Hawks gradebook, and I always recommend to put it into the appropriate assignment group as well, just so it gets graded correctly. Once you have this all set up, you can simply click Save Changes, and that will be all set for you and your students. The other settings I recommend looking at are the additional settings. Under additional settings, you can choose when you want to release your grades to students. So you can, by default, it's going to go to once a student completes it, they're going to see their results. You can set it up though to have them release their grades after the end date and time of the test, after the date, or upon manual release granted by you guys, the instructors. And then you can also set up when students can review the test. By default, it's going to go to always. You can do immediately after test only, after the end date and time of the test, never, and just after the date. Nice thing about web tests as well is if you would like to, you can give credit for any unsimplified answers. So if you give partial or full credit, you can come in here and give 50% credit, for example. And then lastly, some additional settings down below. If you want to, you can require the Respondus Lockdown Browser tool. This is a tool that will kind of hold students within the web browser they're taking, and they won't be able to navigate in or out of that web browser. They'll be forced to take that test, and they won't be able to jump between different internet browsers there. If you want to give your students any paused attempts, you can. And then some additional details are to show the students how much time they have. And then you can also make any diagnostic tests as well. Once you save these changes and we have our web test all set up, to assign it, you just want to click the assign button in the top right-hand corner. And you would want to select the section that you want this to be assigned to. If you had multiple sections in here, you could assign it to multiple sections at one time. Once I click assign down at the bottom, we'll see that this has been successfully assigned. And now my students would see this on their to-do list. So last thing, I'm going to go back out under this assignments tab. So we're going to go back out to assignments and into web tests. Now that we've created our web test, this is the one that we just created here. So we're going to see it's going to be displayed under my web test, and we can see that it's assigned to one of my sections. You can also assign any of your web tests directly from this page. If you check this box off in the left-hand side, We can navigate to all the settings that we just reviewed on the right-hand side of the page. And then we can also assign it directly from here as well. Those are the main functions of creating a web test for your course and for your students to take them. Thank you all so much for attending this webinar and this training today. I'm going to hang around here for a few minutes to answer any questions that might have come in. As always, please don't hesitate to reach out to your designated training support representative. We're always happy to connect individually with any instructors to review any of the settings that we have. And as always, feel free to give us a call at our tech support team as well. Always happy to help. I hope everyone has a great fall 2020 semester. Thank you all.